weekly block of Halloween horror over here at Blood and Black Run Podcast. All season long, September and October will be celebrating with quirky, funny horror parodies. Join us for your favorites, from satirical slashers to classic parodies and even some throwback spooks. I'm even told Abbott and Costello will be rising from the dead. Celebrate with us, Blood and Black Run Podcast, as we dive into HaHaHalloween. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Run Podcast. I'm Ryan from Coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're doing well. We're literally one day away from Halloween. The Krusty the Clown came back. It's funny, my son's been watching The Simpsons, and he watched a few Treehouse of Horrors, but I think he just likes The Simpsons. He doesn't even really like Treehouse of Horrors because they kind of scare him. So he's just been watching straight up Simpsons.
Well, good. Because
I don't know if that's good or not for a 6-year-old to be watching The Simpsons, but whatever. You know?
Are you kidding me? Classic Simpsons are
good, wholesome family sitcom.
Absolutely. I still to this day quote a bunch of Simpsons things. It's great. Haven't watched the monorail episode, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, no, we're not here to talk about the Treehouse of Horror, although that would be a fun show to do. Like, what are the best Treehouse of Horrors out of the 36
seasons
episodes they have there? It'd be a fun one, something to do, think about in the future, and maybe cover a couple in each episode. But no, we're not here to talk about that. We're ending HaHaHalloween. This is I believe our 9th episode now of HaHaHalloween. If I'm
sure is our longest running series.
It's actually tied for the longest. We did another one because I went through maybe a few days ago, and I went onto our Spotify, even though I don't love Spotify, and I'm trying to get us away from Spotify as much as possible, but one of the things you could do with Spotify is make playlists, and one thing I did was I went on our Spotify and I made a playlist of all the Halloween episodes, because I didn't realize I've done this for Thanksgiving and I did it for Christmas, but I never did it for the Halloween episodes, and we have like 86 Halloween episodes or something like that, but I went through and I did see that there was another 9-episode Halloween season at one point. I can't remember which one it was now, but...
Was it the Saw movies?
I don't think it was the Saw movies. I think it was either... It might have been Reanimated when we came back from the COVID hiatus that we did, or something else. But I do remember there was another 9-episode season. But with that said, we are finishing up HaHaHalloween. And hold on a second. What's that sound? Oh, I think we've placed a call to somebody to help us out with our paranormal incursion that we have.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
That's right. We have done a Ghostbusters movie previously.
Hold on. We've done the Ghostbusters movie.
I wasn't going to say it, but you could say it. There's only one good Ghostbusters movie, and it's this one, the one that we did back in
2017.
Is that when it released?
I'm checking right now.
Sometime like that. It was
2016.
The 2016 Ghostbusters movie, which we saw in theaters.
Lifetime away. Hell,
that's right. And we had to do it. And now looking at it too, I forgot about this, that it's an egregious 2 hours and 15 minutes long. That is way too long for a Ghostbusters movie.
I was going to say, you don't remember that movie being ridiculously long?
It was long. I'm just saying, I don't remember, I actually don't really recall much about it at all, period.
I can tell you, one of the things is like one of the villains in the movie was the kid from, What About Bears?
Yeah, oh yes.
With bear spray.
And I remember Chris Hemsworth being in it as well. Yeah. But other than that, I don't really remember too much else about it. But that is the only Ghostbusters movie that we've actually done on the show. And so we saw, we wanted to rectify that with the HaHaHalloween series, because it was a perfect time to do a comedy horror film such as Ghostbusters. And we were You know what? And it's not very fair to the rest of the HaHaHalloween lineup because this is our second Bill Murray film in the HaHaHalloween series. That's not fair. I don't know why. You know, who did that? Who chose that?
That was me.
But
on both accounts.
Yeah, that was you. But yes, we wanted to do Ghostbusters the original. Again, it recently I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. The 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters, by the way. That is an old movie now.
I was gonna say, it makes you feel real old, don't it?
That does make you feel real old. I also found it funny when I was watching this because I watched it with the family because it's a family movie. Especially back in 1984. Any movie like this, you know, it doesn't matter if you've got Sigourney Weaver in various stages of undress and some jokes about keys and you know, the gatekeepers and coming together and such as it is. It's still a PG movie. So, you know, appropriate for the whole family, apparently back then, MPAA said.
I think, well, is it like a year away for PG-13, I think?
I believe it, yeah, somewhere around there. It was very, very close to the time when PG-13 was ripped out, so.
Well, I was going to say, because, you know, Spielberg had a fit about, you know, Temple of Doom.
That's right. Yeah.
Possibly getting up rated R, and so, you know.
Yeah. I think so, but I mean, again, and I think it's mostly fair for Ghostbusters to be rated PG. It is a pretty family-friendly movie throughout much of it. There's a couple of, you know, risque jokes that probably kids won't understand anyway. I know my son didn't. But as we were watching it, my wife said she didn't think she's seen all of Ghostbusters before. She said she's seen bits and pieces of it, but she's never seen the whole thing before. And I was like, what? That's surprising. She always gets surprised at me when she names like some random kids movie from the 90s that I don't have any, you know, never seen or don't have a nostalgia factor for. But then she's like, I've never seen Ghostbusters fully. So, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's crazy. But yeah, we want to do Ghostbusters. I think it's a fun movie to do for HaHaHalloween. It is not what we would consider like the traditional types of horror satire that we've been generally doing for the HaHaHalloween series, but at the same time, is a horror comedy. Sits really, really middle of the road in that wheelhouse between horror and comedy. You know, often taking itself pretty seriously at times, and at other times, really running with the comedy element and the SNL veterans that it has at its disposal. Yeah, it's a classic. It's a classic that we just had never ventured into before. So, what's your experience with Ghostbusters? How many times have you seen it? Is one of your favorite movies? Like, what's going on with this nostalgia?
So I've seen it a bunch of times. It is a pretty nostalgic film for me. Obviously, from being in the early 80s, it wouldn't have been as nostalgic as, like, you know, people who are, you know, Gen Xers. But it got played a lot on TV. And like I've said before when talking about Ghostbusters, I've seen Ghostbusters 2 more times than I've seen the first one because it used to be on Comedy Central on repeat for like 4 years straight. You know, you had... But I have seen it. I have, you know, great love and nostalgia for it. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I do like it a lot. You know, again, what's not to like? You got Harold Ramis, Ivan Reitman as the director, Bill Murray, Rick Moranis. You know, it's all Dan Aykroyd. Which the funny thing is, too, the older and older I get, the more and more, like, especially with, like, Dan Aykroyd and Rick Moranis, their Canadian accent just, like, creeps in. And all I can hear is, like, there's a moose loose about the house. You know, it's just funny because it's like, you know, I never really thought about, like, oh, they kind of sound like, you know, a little weird. But now it's like, especially watching this, like, Dan Aykroyd, like, you know, sure. Oh, yeah, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at Camp Wananaka.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, again, he has it pretty more pronounced in some other films that he's in, especially Christmas with the Cranks. He's definitely got a Canadian accent in that one. This one is less pronounced, but still, you definitely can hear it, yeah.
Same thing with like Rick Moranis. They're like, oh yeah, I got the grilled salmon, don't you know? I'm from Nova Scotia. It's $24.99 a pound, but I got it for $15.
And Rick Moranis always has that one. He definitely always has a very pronounced accent that I've found in the movies that I've seen him in.
I've just never really like I never like, as a kid, like, I was just thinking about it. It's like I never watched like, My Girl or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and, was like, wow, listen to that,
Yeah. I've seen Ghostbusters a few times, of course. It's been a long time since I've last watched it, though. I don't really even remember the last time I watched this movie. It's probably been a good 10 years. And again, it's been one of those movies that, yes, we didn't technically grow up with Ghostbusters as it released in 1984, and it was, 5 years prior to us even being born. But I definitely did watch it as a kid, and I want to say I was probably about 10, 11 when I first saw the movie.
Did you watch the cartoon?
Oh yeah, I watched the cartoon, and not only did I watch the cartoon, I also had the car. I had the toy car, along with a couple of the action figures as well. And I believe those are based off of the actual cartoon show instead of the movies, but I do recall having the car specifically. So yeah, there's always something. I had some really cool action figures back in the day, and I really wish I had like a whole bin of them. And at one point, we just got rid of the bin, and I'm really upset because I feel like those would have been, nice collector's items that I no longer have. Like I had the Ghostbusters car. It had like a bunch of like Predator and Alien toys. I had, even things like this. Weird to think about because I never even watched Predator or Aliens back in the day, but I had the toys because I just thought they looked cool.
Well, again, like, you gotta remember, the 80s, all these films that were not meant for kids.
Yeah.
Getting spin out like, RoboCop, here's your cartoon and your action figures,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, same thing. It's, Predator, Alien. Like, because I remember, too, I didn't have the Ghostbuster car and stuff, but I remember you having it. I remember my, one of my cousins having it, like, we raced the Batmobile from the animated series, like, around the house, and, Ecto Cooler, that was a big thing. Like,
I fucking loved Ecto Cooler.
You knew you were in for a good time back in the 90s if your mom got you some Ecto Cooler.
1,000%. Yes, Ecto Cooler was awesome. It was nice to have it when they brought it back for that period of time, which I grabbed a couple of cartons of that. It's great. It's a good experience to think back on the Ecto Cooler. And again, too, also a weird thing, like the weird tie-in of them making Ecto Cooler like routinely throughout the years for the, tied in with Ghostbusters. It's kind of strange, but I love it. It's like a piece of nostalgia that I feel like people just won't have now. Like a similar aesthetic is like, oh, Mr. Beast toys. I have nostalgia for them. I don't know. Maybe it's not I feel like it's not the same, but again, I'm not.
Logan Paul Prime bottle.
I'm not a 5-year-old, so I don't.
They have like a Mr. Beast burger at Friendly's, and somebody like ordered it once at work, and it was like, 1, who the fuck is Mr. Beast? And 2, like, why is there like some streamer like side burger at Friendly's or something?
Right. My wife said the same thing because my son just happens to have some Mr. Beast toys because he got them for Christmas and my dad got them. Like, probably just thought, oh, cool, like, this is a thing I know about, so I'm just going to grab them a couple. And they're like stretch screamers, basically. So they're pretty cool because I used to like stretch screamers. I had those too. But my wife recently saw him just on YouTube or something. She's like, this guy's just a YouTube streamer? Like, what is that? That's what the toys are based on? I'm like, yeah, that's what it is.
He's like a fucking billionaire just because he's like, we're going to see who can last the longest in this house full of shit, and see if you can win $2,479.
That's right. I was just like, that's what it is. It's just a YouTube thing. So.
It's the worst that are... Oh, it was... Yeah. It's just all of that. Like I said, the people who make a living on Twitch, get a real job.
Sure. all the drama and stuff.
It's
I can't even. I wouldn't want to.
You're the leftist hippie version of Ice. Get a real job.
It's like the equivalent of like actual the 90s soap operas where you have to stay tuned in, or like you have no idea what's going on.
Well, that's funny because my mom sometimes bitches that like if she's missed like 2 days, like I missed my soaps, I need to catch up. And it's like, what do you mean you need to get caught up? It's a third.
Yeah.
This time on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Are you caught up with the 37 years of
I have
seasons that it has?
Yes. There's something I need to tell you. What's that? You're not gonna believe me. Pause. Next scene. Something similar to that, and it just continues on for 7 years before like.
That's right.
Oh no, Stefano did what now? Like it's just still silly and stupid.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a break real quick to talk about the beer that we have on the show today. Interestingly enough, we were out together to doing some errands when we got this beer. So that doesn't happen often. We both live busy lives. I don't leave the house that often. That just happens like that. But we were running errands together because I had the day off, and we stopped at the beer store. And we are both kind of going through this period of slight disappointment every time we go into the beer store at this point, because just nothing really seems it's like beer depression. It's like beer goggle depression. You just see everything in there and you're like, just doesn't have the same luster that it once did. But we did find one there, and again, it seems like a run on a theme here that we've had throughout this HaHaHalloween season, I think, is to not only associate the season with Oktoberfest, but also with Buffalo Bills football. And so that's what we have on today as well. Another Bills themed, though they don't come out and explicitly say it, because let's face it, you can't do that. NFL would be all over. You don't have the express written consent of the NFL Network, its affiliate. But it is, again, it's sufficiently Bills themed where you can draw infer that from it. So I'll let you take it. What did you get for us? Because you're technically your beer.
Yeah, you're the one that spotted it, but yeah.
True.
So walking around, nothing really appealing. It's getting sad, really sad and depressing. The show just might become us drinking Pabst every episode and wallowing in sadness. But anywho, now, so no new Oktoberfest really, showing out. Trying to find something more Halloweeny themed that isn't $40 a 4-pack. We stumbled upon this Community Beer Works Let's Go Pills, their version of a Bills Mafia Pilsner. We've never had Community Beer Works. Excuse me. They're based out of Buffalo. They're apparently on the same street that Thin Man is, because it's on their webpage. Like, they're one of 3 breweries that are part of,
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go to your About Us, you can go and see, their About and, that, So, that's cool. Thin Man's, we've done a couple of times. And they got the, Pills Mafia. Yeah, can looks great. It's got, nice, classic football, Buffalo iconography.
Sure.
Buffalo 716. Hey, they have little pennants with the ingredients on there: hops, grain, water, yeast. And that's how you got yourself a true German Pilsner.
Yeah, right. No extraneous adjuncts or anything.
So what do you think about it first?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think I actually need to stop you and say that I actually have had one other Community Beer Works. Didn't realize it. Didn't stand out to me as a name that I've seen before, but I had their brown ale apparently back in 2018 at Project 29. So probably when we went there one time, I'm gonna guess we were probably there together. But yeah, don't really have much of a association with Community Beer Works, and I also find it interesting. I was actually down by Buffalo one time before when we were traveling, and I was actually meaning to stop into Thin Man. Didn't get a chance to because it's kind of, if you're driving past Buffalo, it's really not that convenient to just go stop off in Buffalo when you're, driving on the highway. It might seem like it's close, but it's really not. Even though, so it's kind of out of the way. But I wanted to stop at Thin Man. It's probably would have been one of the only opportunities to actually do so, unless I made a specific trip out there. But I didn't realize that Community Beer Works was there as well, like really close by, which is
actually,
interesting.
I'm wrong. They're not close by. They're actually in the same place.
Oh, they're in like a same building, basically.
Yeah, they have three different breweries. Cool. Thin Man, and Smoldered
cool.
Society. Because I'm looking at it, it says 3 distinct craft beer vision under one roof.
Well, that would be a nice trip to make. Is visit all 3?
Wouldn't that be great? If you were like, oh, Treehouse, turn around right behind it. Oh, Sidens. Oh,
Yeah.
Brothers,
no, that would be dangerous. It would be. I'm sure it's dangerous entirely to have.
Listen, Treehouse with the compound, as we talked about last week, they could afford to, house in someone else. Sure.
But anyway, about the beer. I think it's a pretty good standard Pilsner style. It's definitely on the, as you said, more of a like German Pilsner style than a Americanized macro brand. It's got a nice malt character to it, like the grain and hop balance is very nice here. It's very clean, very drinkable. There's nothing about it that's like extremely stand out, but I would say that that's probably, again, I think we've talked about that with Pilsners before, which becomes kind of difficult to really assess a Pilsner style, because at a certain point, you don't really want it to stand out, because if it stands out, then it might mean there's actually something wrong with it. You kind of, there's a fine line between getting the style correct and then like doing a variation on it where it doesn't really seem like a Pilsner anymore. So I think, hitting it right in the middle square on that clean, crisp body is exactly what you want, and I think they've done a good job with it. It's very standard and a really refreshing Pilsner style. So I like it a lot. What about you?
Like it a lot too. Big fan of the style, just like you. It's definitely not adjuncty at all. It's got that bright, slight, very hoppy, touch to it. Has nice bready body to it. Very. Like a nice light white bread, you can taste like the, all of it. It's just, it's like a German Pilsner or Vienna lager. I would compare it more, I know it says Pilsner, but I would say it's kind of more like a Vienna lager just because it's got, that, more of a bready bite to it. But again, totally works. Like it a lot. Problem is, 4-pack, Pilsner, not a fan.
Sure.
Gotta make it a 6-pack, even if it says, pints, but
quite light too, 4.2%.
Yeah. So
another thing that I found was interesting is, so Community Beer Works has a lot of variations on the Let's Go Pills as well. They do a number of ones that actually do have some sort of adjunct in them or flavor to them, citrusy ones, different fruits, what have you. But they also have the playoff Let's Go Pills, which I think is funny. It's a nice little play on the whole idea of doing the Bills stuff. And that one's an Imperial Pilsner, which I have admittedly never had an Imperial Pilsner. It sounds very similar to like what you might expect from something that would just kind of creep up to more towards like a pale ale territory. Except it's, a lager style, or maybe even in like what you would consider like an IPL. Something like that.
Oh, geez, that style died. I think it came and went, and like it's 2 years.
Yeah, not super popular, but yes, I would say like it would probably be equivalent to something like that, because as what I've seen is it's basically just hoppier and maltier, and that sounds to me like the same kind of idea as like an IPL, or what was that other one that was like a craze for a little while, came and went? It was like a cold.
Oh, the cold, like cryo
lager or whatever,
Yeah.
and it was basically made like a lager, but it was like an IPA.
hot like an IPA, and with like.
It was one of those beers again that we were like, this is just a brewer's beer. Like to me, I don't know. Like I'm not really seeing much of a difference between it, but cool for the whole explanation of how you brewed it. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting that they have that playoff Let's Go Pills. Never seen it before. It's
probably only available like on tap or something.
Yeah,
like,
it might be.
It's not on their webpage. So
yeah, this is I think it's a fairly small microbrewery. And Thin Man is kind of like the bigger giant of the three that are there in that building. So, all right, but with that said, let's get on to Ghostbusters. Let's talk about some Ghostbusters. What do you think about the whole idea of Ghostbusters, first and foremost? You got a group of guys, professorial types, who they get kicked out of their college research grant, and they decide, hey, let's just go into business doing some paranormal research.
Well, it's not just that they're paranormal researchers. That's, more of Harold Ramis's and Dan Aykroyd's dick. Old Dr. Venkman, Bill Murray's just looking to slay some pussy.
Yeah.
Young college ones too,
I know, it's funny, you're watching this movie, and this is a bit of a skeeviness to it that, of the business that occurs in Ghostbusters that, it's kind of, it's in the midst of the comedy element of Ghostbusters, but then when you really stop and think about it, you're like, well, it's a little bit pervy at times, the way that they are basically effectively using their expertise and like sort of elevated status as doctors and researchers, and it's going to, and I'm not talking about Dan Aykroyd or anything like that. It's specifically Bill Murray's character, who is basically the audience stand-in, right? They're the guide for the audience, as the person who is the least well-researched on the paranormal and the least believing of the guys that are make up the Ghostbusters. He's kind of our stand-in as the audience to kind of explain what's going on, or have things explained to him, which then, essentially explains it to us. But he's also the guy who is the one who's the skeeviest of the three, going into people's apartments and, trying to ask them out. And I think you see that like right away as the film begins, after that first library sequence, and you see he's giving like a test to two people, a guy and a girl, and he's letting the girl get everything right even though it's not right, and the guy's completely wrong every single time for the ESP test. And
which should have been telling too. She's constantly flipping the card over for him, showing that he's wrong.
Like, it's a circle,
and for
no,
her,
it's a square. Yeah.
And then for her, he's like, "Oh, you're so good. You're so good at this," and not even showing it, and then just like, "Ah,
yeah, I love that." But like, what do you think about the setup? The whole idea of these three guys as researchers.
It's a fun idea. Kind of slightly. You can plays into the satanic panic of the 80s.
Yeah, which was a little bit later, but at the same time, I can see what you're saying of like, there was a spin towards new age aesthetics at this time period. Yeah. And I think, like the satanic panic would have been more like the 87, 88 range, when really a lot of heavy metal was starting to come out and people were like, shaking in their britches about like potential, everybody around them could have been satanic worshipers who are performing rituals every night in cemeteries and stuff. But in this one, you kind of have, it's interesting to me because they do go the route of like, these aren't just some people who are like, we had experiences with ghosts and we've opened up a paranormal research society, as we see currently today, of just random people who are like, I have no experience. I bought some equipment and we're going to go investigate some ghosts and open up a YouTube page and, get access to all these haunted places. Like, they didn't go that route with it. They weren't laymen. I like it a lot that they are they're literally parapsychologists and people who have studied and have grants at the college. And now, again, at the opening of the film, they lose their grant because basically the college is just like, we can't continue to fund this bullshit. Like, you guys, there's like been no proof. You've got nothing.
Which is funny too. Like they're at Columbia. It doesn't say it, but you can tell it's like Columbia, and it's like, really, like, okay, no. Columbia is like, oh yes, we'll give you funding for this, Sure, like, somebody on the board must have seen, like, Amityville Horror, and it's like...
True, yeah. And I mean, I think that's true of some colleges. They do have, like, parapsychology, either minors or, they do have some sort of research into it. Because, again, it's kind of that same idea as, like, you don't know what you don't know. And there's probably worthwhile... value in doing research to see if there is something to the idea, like whether it be real paranormal activity or the psychology behind people who believe they had paranormal experiences. There's worthwhile evidence to research this phenomena that seems to happen to many people, right? And so I do think that there are a number of colleges that do have programs like this. I believe like Penn State is one of them, because there's a paranormal show called Paranormal Society or something like that used to be on TV, and it was all about the Penn State Paranormal Research Facility and things like that. So I think it's a cool idea. And the one thing I was trying to get at with the asking about this is I actually think Ghostbusters, for a film in 1984, I think it was really ahead of its time in terms of looking at the paranormal, kind of setting up a very explicitly detailed set of investigations and functions that the Ghostbusters have at their disposal. Because, I think it's really ingenious, the whole idea of having these proton beams that kind of trap the ectoplasmic entities because of the science behind it, and then having almost like a Pokemon-esque trap that they throw out to capture the ghost. I think that's a really coul idea.
Not only that, you know what? You're right. They should be suing Pokemon for stealing it.
Right? It's like the same idea. It's like instead of capturing and battling ghosts, they were battling pocket monsters instead, but catching them in the same sort of idea.
It's a super American, especially Reagan era type idea, because it's like, the school's not going to fund your bullshit science, so what are we going to do? We're going to turn this into a money maker. We're going to go private and, we're going to be rolling in money, It's just funny. And then, how are we going to get the money for this? And then you see them at the bank, and Dan Aykroyd's like, I don't know if this is such a good idea. And Venkman's like, Bill Murray's like, oh, wow, everyone's got a third mortgage on their house. And
it's the other sort of Reagan idea of can't get actual funding for it, then you could be your own venture capitalist, right? Yeah. You can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You start your own business. Look at you're an entrepreneur at this point. You're a businessman. And I think it's funny because the film kind of does go into that whole point of wow, we started this, but we spent all of our money. There's a one scene where they're eating Chinese food, and they're like, what's still in the coffers? And they're like, oh, you're looking at it. This was the end of the money that we had, this nice Chinese food that we got out. So, but it's great. I love the idea. I think the idea is really ingenious. It was very, there's a reason why it stuck around. I think the whole idea of capturing ghosts like that, it really lended itself to sort of an animated feature too, because we see Ghostbusters has had a couple different animated series, but I think that the idea of it being trapping ghosts and sort of catching them is almost like an anime-esque, shonen style thing that you could run with, which I probably has at some point been, basically an anime plot. It turned into something different, but capturing ghosts, I'm sure, is another type of anime. Even Yu Yu Hakusho. Right? Of the spirit detective is, kind of in that same realm. So I just really, I wanted to bring that up. I really like the idea of the traps. I think it's really cool. I think it's fleshed out very well. You know, again, the film kind of eschews going into the pseudoscience behind it. And so that's where you have basically Igor. I'm thinking of Frankenstein here. You have Egon, who is basically the guy who is the nerd. And so every time he tries to go into any detail, you've got Bill Murray sitting there like, give it to me straight. Pretend I know nothing about this.
Well, it's funny too though, because it's not just Egon, but it's also Ray, Dan Aykroyd's character. They're the two bouncing off of each other, like blah 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 blah. And Bill Murray's like, I don't fucking care. Let's just I just need money and to get my pee-pee, But I mean, it's great though. Like, one, I go, because they're great, because okay, Bill Murray's the straight man, layman, this is a bunch of bullshit to him. Egon's the nerd, but he's also the super autistic nerd where he's very focused on just the science aspects, and there's some really good jokes about that too. And Ray is, he's really into it, but he has a childlike wonder about it at all. Oh, you got the ecto splooge on you? That could be about the first contact of, so, they're again, the casting is great. I know Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, wrote it, and you could tell, with how Dan Aykroyd is now about all the spooky stuff, and, this would be totally right up his alley, but, my God, it's just a great buddy comedy, too, between the three of them,
Yeah.
Obviously from work and from previous things, too, but, you can't have better casting than that.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, it is nice to see that. Well, for one thing, I think we have a very stereotypical setup for the casting. Bill Murray, this is not his first rodeo playing this type of character. I mean, this is basically Bill Murray. His character and himself are kind of synonymous with each other. And to much of the 80s output from Bill Murray, this was basically how he played it. It was, basically Bill Murray shows up, does a Murray-esque thing, goes home, gets a paycheck. And, it's kind of an easy...
Is that him or no, it's Scrooge. No, wait, is this him or, Stripes? Yeah. No, it's,
Yeah. You could basically replace some scenes from each of the movies and you still have the same prototypical Bill Murray character in any of them. It wouldn't really feel out of place. In some movies, he's a little bit more of an asshole. So Groundhog Day at times, Scrooge, a bit more of an asshole. Mm-hmm. But here, he still has those sort of same mannerisms and personality that makes him a little bit bristly. Some might say surly at times, as an adjective to describe him. But again, too, I think that there's the key there is that he's also, as you were saying, basically in it for we'll say it, to put it nicely, the relationship element, which is interesting because at the end of the movie, we find out hey, it works. Why aren't other people setting up these elaborate schemes of putting people in some sort of paranormal danger in order to win the girl at the end of the movie? Sigourney Weaver is wooed by it at the end, and poor
when she says no for the fourth time, you just keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep,
And poor Rick Moranis' character, he's trying super hard. He's, he's all over it, and it just doesn't work out for him at the end. He doesn't get the happy ending that Bill Murray's character does.
Which I don't quite understand. When we first see him, his, tracksuit is hyped up so perfect. His, he's got the nice Adidas on too, yeah, that's a whole lot Wonderful. Of man right there.
You can rely on him. He's got a reliable job. Whereas Bill Murray's, just recently lost his actual job. He had to start up a new business himself. So, Rick Moranis is really the goal here. I don't know why he's not a ladies' man in this one, but. But anyway, as I was saying, I think would be really interesting to see and I'm not saying it would be a good movie. I'm just saying I would like an alternate reality where, Dan Aykroyd is Bill Murray's character in this one. Is Venkman in the movie. Because I'm really curious to see like what kind of riff and take on that sort of character he would have instead of, playing the more of the, scientific character. Which is always interesting to think about, like what it would be an alternate reality of all those types of things. Like if we had swapped everything around, what would the movie be like? I think it wouldn't be as good, of course, but I would just be interested to see, Bill Murray in a character at this time period that wasn't exactly typecast for him. And I don't know that I'm not like a huge person on the backstory of Ghostbusters. I don't know if Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis wrote this and they wrote it basically for Bill Murray. Knowing their background and knowing the relationships that they had at the time. I don't know if that was the case, but it seems like it. It could be very plausible that they basically just wrote Venkman as Bill Murray, and that was, how it came to be. Again, we don't do a whole lot of research for the episode, so there might be some of that out there, but we don't know it.
Well, we're not a history podcast. We're a viewing podcast.
That's right. One thing I did want to point out, too, is what do you think about the opening library sequence at the New York Public Library? That's like your first excursion with the Ghostbusters.
It's a nice, tense, setup, and it's pays off really well, with the librarian. She's walking down the hall. So we start to see things move back and forth, She's kind of getting the eerie feeling that she's being followed until eventually it blows up and she, runs into the ghost and it goes into the opening. It's, really well done, really well shot, built a nice tension up.
I know when I first saw this movie, I was pretty scared of that opening ghost sequence where it's not before the actual like title card, it's after. But when the librarian when the Ghostbusters are in the library and they just see that little old lady that's the ghost just standing there reading a book, and they approach her because it seems like she's, a fine little old lady, just maybe hard to move on from life. And then when she turns around, she's like that grotesque, monstrous ghost looking character. That's definitely scared me when I was a kid. I remember pretty distinctly, like the first time I saw this movie, not being prepared for that. So I thought that was pretty effective. And I think it does a good job of setting up this sort of horror element to Ghostbusters, because we always think about it mostly as a comedy. But I do think it does have a good amount of horror to it too, with the haunting sequences. That, it is pretty well set up in the first part with the library. The other one that's great is like the whole sequence in the hotel with Slimer, of like them being in the banquet hall and all the guests, in the hotel are, it's a very hoity-toity hotel, and there's like all kinds of like rattling sounds and tables flipping over, and you just see the guests out in the hallway like, what's going on in there? And the concierge has to be like, oh, no, I promise you it's fine. It's fine. Your hotel room will be fine.
Did every 80s comedy have to have concierge show up in it?
I think so. I'm surprised that this one didn't have Donald Trump in it somewhere.
That ballroom is too small. Never go in there. Never go in there. I do like that part. Does have like a lot of great parts when they're going up into the up in the elevator, and the guy's just sitting out there smoking his cigar. What time to be alive? He just smoke a cigar, which he's gonna have to finish it anyway, because we find out later when they're in the elevator, it says no smoking. So but he's like, the hell are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're exterminators, and they're all dressed up in the gear and that. And he's like, what are you exterminating? And they're like, oh, it's a cockroach. And he's like, it must be some cockroach. And they get on the elevator, and he's like, you want to come in? And he's like, I'll take the next one. It's, same thing, too, because that whole scene, they're like, oh, we need you to be discreet. They come oh, see the ghost. You see the ghost? Have you seen the ghost? Where's this ghost at? And
is the first mention of their streams, the proton streams too.
Yeah.
You can't cross them. Can't cross the streams. And then they shoot the maid, who is unfortunately an unwitting victim in this. Basically blast her maid cart. Catches
She's
fire.
like, what the? Which is great too, because there's fire. She's sitting there with her bottle.
Oh, you noticed that too? Spritzing
Yeah,
it while they're talking. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really seen that before, but I noticed it in this one. Yeah,
in 4K, you could totally,
Sure.
but yeah, no, that was like hilarious.
It's just spritzing it. Yeah. Yeah, I that's a nice little touch in the background that I feel like people don't notice as much. Yeah, I did notice that this time.
The whole crossing the streams bit too now is like for every young boy afterwards, like when you're peeing at a urinal or
Yep.
if you're at a place that has a nice piss trough still.
I try.
You don't cross the streams. You never cross the streams.
I mean, it's great because the end where they actually do have to cross the streams to close the gate is definitely suggestive. With the three of them gripping their proton blasters suggestively and putting them together.
Very phallic,
Nice, yeah. Nice little fun, suggestive moment. What do you think about Sigourney Weaver's character, Dana, who opens up the gate to Zool?
She's Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, she's perfectly fine. I think she plays well with Bill Murray. She doesn't get as much attention, screen time as she probably does in Ghostbusters too, because she spends the last 30 minutes as a dog and
True.
mini exorcism. So, but I just love the fact that in the 80s, she's possessed. It's like, what is she gonna be? I know. Put a goddamn curtain on her. Make her hair all messy and a ridiculous amount of, rouge and sexy.
Yeah.
But that's how we know. That's how we know, though, Bill Murray's a man of character, though, because he went there to get laid, but not if she's,
possessed. Right. She's not up for
possessed.
I do love that, though. It's a great moment where she's basically like, do you want to take me? And he's like, I do. No, I shouldn't. I should. And there's like that. It's a nice, it's a great moment. So again, skeevy at times, especially that opening sequence where he's like, I'll go back to her apartment. And basically she lets him in and he's, putting the moves on her, checking the bedroom, saying how it's a shame that it hasn't been used often. And, it's a very vulnerable position to be a woman alone in your apartment.
I was going to say, do you think he brought that thing around just for shit? I don't think that thing even did anything because he was just walking around, grabbing onto it, squeezing the ball. She's like, what does that do? And he's like, ah.
Yeah, it's very scientific. I can't explain. Yeah, it's great. It's almost like a pesticide, thing that you could go around squirting pesticides and stuff. But yeah, I don't think it does anything. It's great.
I know why her apartment is haunted.
What's that?
Her poor choice of groceries. Who goes to the grocery store and just gets celery, eggs, Stay Puft Marshmallows, and some Triscuits and bread mix or something?
Apparently it's,
what are we making? What are we making?
Supplementing whatever she already has in the fridge, which when Bill Murray opens it up, he says, wow.
Ah. Got a lot of crap in
yeah. You know what? It's probably true though, because as you said, that's all she buys is a bunch of junk. It's you know what? Maybe she's having a party. She's having s'mores and needed the marshmallows.
She's gonna say, is that what Rick needed? Rick Moranis needed over at his party.
That's right.
I do love the bit too, because when he's looking into the fridge and sees the little casserole thing, he lifts it up and gives it a sniff. He's like, ugh, it's
yeah, right.
bad.
Yeah, that's a good little shot too. What do you think about the whole the Zool thing, opening up a realm and the description of Gozer and the architectural design of this New York City skyscraper with the keymaster and the gatekeeper and all that? well done, good story, or just kind of in there to shuttle things along?
I mean, it's fine enough. Like, I don't have a problem with Gozer and the Keymaster, and I think it's fine. It's a cool enough idea. It's like, because again, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what's causing all of this? Like, I don't know, being like, oh, it's some ancient Sumerian thing that people wouldn't know. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool,
Yeah.
Kind of grabs your attention. It's not like, like, oh, it's Dracula from behind, beyond the grave or something, so.
I think it's pretty good. I think that it has sort of like a understatedness to it that maybe doesn't coalesce enough, but I think at the same time, again, it's sort of a means to get the ghosts in and to get to a certain point with Gozer. I think that, they kind of messily go over this whole idea and you kind of piece it together as the viewer, but I think it's good enough. It kind of makes me laugh sometimes because it is so intricate for a movie such as this. It kind of relies on a lot of lore in the movie itself, which is kind of a cool thing too when you stop and think about it, that there is all of this lore involved in like the setup of getting, to the meat of the Ghostbusters, main concept. It's pretty cool. It would only get more complicated from there, especially as we get into some of the newer movies that are technically like sequels to it. It gets even more complicated. So I think it's cool to go back to the beginning and see sort of like the intricate concept that Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis set up for this first movie. And then what do you think about the fact that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is the the big bad at the end of the movie, which is become very iconic, something if people don't know much about Ghostbusters, they probably know about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. What do you think about him?
I think it's funny. I think it's a really funny idea just because the fact that like Gozer's like, whatever you think of, that's how you'll have to destroy. And Bill Murray's like, we're not going to think of anything. Don't think of anything until we can figure this out. Don't think. It has been chosen. What? Who did that? All I could think of was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from my childhood. It's, that is really funny. Stupid on Gozer's part to be like, I'm trying to, end the world. You choose the form I take in this battle.
Yeah. And it be a marshmallow guy. Yeah, it's it.
Well, no, I mean, like, no, like, I'm fine with it being I'm saying for Gozer, like,
well, I'm saying for Gozer, you wouldn't want a marshmallow guy. There's like a lot of ways that you could get rid of a giant marshmallow guy. Just have a fat kid come in and just start chowing away at the leg, and eventually, you get
Augustus you just bring Augustus Gloop in.
That's right. You get to the same conclusion as this one, which is that the city of New York got a very messy but very yummy conclusion to it as the Marshmallow Man blows up and spreads marshmallow all over the place. I'm sure bonfires kicked up everywhere in the city in their, little, hobo trash bins as they roasted marshmallow and which is shaving cream. Let's be honest in here. It's very clearly shaving cream. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really clever that, as you said, when she gets the groceries, the camera really does linger on the Stay Puft Marshmallow to sort of set up that realism and verisimilitude up of the Stay Puft Marshmallow existing in this universe.
Doesn't come out of nowhere.
Right, exactly. It's there, and you can see it. So you're not like, wait a second, where's Jet Puff? Why don't they have Jet? So I like that. I think that's a good inclusion, and it was a good detail. Film is detail-oriented. I like that. It's very good. What else? What else did we talk about?
One of the best characters in the movie.
Okay. Who is it?
Annie Potts.
It's true. Annie Potts is a nice character. Very bristly as Janine.
Ghostbusters, like Cyndi Lauper, like, Ghostbusters, what do you want? I just love the fact too that she's constantly hitting on Egon, and like he's just like, yes, I know, he's too autistic and busy. You know, she's like, I don't think you're gonna make it alive. What kind of hobbies do you like? I like collecting molds. Ugh. You know, and she's like throwing herself at him. What was he doing under that desk?
I was just gonna say that there's a nice little, double entendre cunnilingus sort of thing going on there, which it's not very common for comedy films. You know, there's a lot of blowjob references.
Yeah, speaking of, what the hell was up with that? The ghost getting Dan Aykroyd off.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. That's one thing. I was watching with my son, and he was like, "Oh my God, the ghost took his pants down," like thinking it was like a pantsing. And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. That's right." The ghost likes the pants people. Because you get it. Yeah, it's like when you get pants, you make a face. We go, you're like, "Oh damn!" Yes. Nice PG rating. Thank you, MPAA. Everybody has to explain that to their children.
That's what they thought too. Why? It's just a pants thing.
Why is the ghost taking the pants down?
See, I think that was part of the fun back in the day. Like, you take a kid, and it's one of those movies kind of pushing, towing the line.
Sure.
And then you're left, like, they're laughing at you. Like, you got to explain this to your kids. Have fun, asshole.
Yeah. What about, one thing that really concerned me is when they get the fire station, and they're in it, and they're basically Dan Aykroyd's having a field day in there. Like, look at this, and look at that. There's a fire pole in here. The fire pole looks like it should be condemned, though. I think they should take that down. It is wiggling like crazy. I've never
see if it was if that was modern day, he would have like slid down it and it would have broken, and like he would have like fell on his ass.
So they don't need the EPA coming in. You know, William Atherton's character, the guy who comes in, is like shutting them down because they're running an illegal operation where they can't, they don't know what the proton beams are, and they don't know what the whole grid that they have is going on. They need OSHA to come in here and say, whoa, that pole has 4 inches of wobble on it. That is not acceptable if you're going to be using that for emergency calls, okay? That's what they need. I was concerned. I was like, wow, that is a very wobbly pole. But otherwise, it looks like a fun little place. And then how about the theme song? Of course, we have to talk about the Ghostbusters theme song. Iconic.
Nice earworm.
Recognizable for all elementary school children who probably played the Ghostbusters game in gym class. I don't know if that was just something local for us, but it was a goddamn fun game.
I think, like, I don't know why it was called I think it was just an excuse to have kids run around during Halloween with the music playing.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I wonder if was that a local thing? Was that just something like our gym made up, like at school made up? Or did other people, was that like a thing that people were sharing is like, you should, for a fun Halloween game for your children in school, you should play this game called Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. I would be interested to hear from people. Did you have
what do we even do? Just run around from spot to spot?
They had a couple people with pennies on, I believe, and they were the ghosts, and they would run around and tag people and bring them to like ghost jail, and they would be in ghost jail until somebody was able to run over to the ghost jail and get the person out, and then you were back playing again. I think was the goal of the game. I can't quite recall. I might be getting that confused with a couple of games. We used to play a couple of tag games like that.
Just such a different music.
Yeah, basically. And then, if you remember, there was also one called The Blob, which was basically, if you got tagged, you joined the blob.
Yeah. And you became one big blob. That was a great idea.
Another cool game as well. I don't know, again, did you have these games? Were these games that you had back in...
I feel like they had to have some kind of crossover because, again, like you see constantly people posting like, nothing ever got better than this, and it's that rainbow-colored, trust building. You run in and out that like apparently everyone did in the 90s.
I also seem to remember there was like a tile that you flipped over, and if it was like the ghost tiled, you had to run across the gym or something. I don't know. I'm maybe getting that confused too, but I feel like I remember something similar to that. But it was a goddamn fun game to play at Halloween time. That was like something you would look forward to. You just recently, like you were in 3rd grade and you played it in 2nd grade. You're like, God damn, I hope we do Ghostbusters today, Jim. It was awesome. So I definitely remember that though. That was always fun. The tune is an earworm though. It does get stuck in your head. Recently, I believe it's been, re-released, re-recorded, remixed by like Fall Out Boy and stuff for the new film. It's, but there's nothing like the original by, who's it, Ray Parker Jr.?
Yes.
There's nothing like it. It's just a staple. And it was written for the film, right? Am I correct in that? Or was it just, I feel like it was written for the film.
I imagine it's the 80s.
I believe so.
You had to have it, like a theme song to go with it.
Which is not something that you see all the time. A song written for a film that really breaks out and is like hitting the charts because people love it so much outside of the movie. Happens a few times here and there. I feel like that Billie Eilish song for Barbie. I don't know if that was written specifically for Barbie or whatever, but that's one of them that I could think of from recently.
How does that go? I'm a Barbie.
No, not that one. It's like
It's
that slow one. I don't even know. I don't know Billie Eilish songs very well. I just know
that's all Billie Eilish.
Yeah,
songs.
I don't know
in
exactly
some form
what it
of
is
that.
called, but I could probably look it up here and tell you what it is. But that's one that comes to mind. What was I made for? That was the song. That's the song. Was I made for? That's what comes to mind recently. But like, it's kind of weird to think about. You wrote a song for a movie and it just becomes like maybe even a little bit more elevated than the movie. Like people who don't even know what Ghostbusters is still know the song Ghostbusters. It's pretty crazy. And it is very interesting to see how proliferative Ghostbusters has been in pop culture. Like it still remains in pop culture. Whether people actually watch the movie now, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that there would even be like, Gen Alpha people who don't know Ghostbusters. I feel like it's still really prevalent, even if they've never actually seen the movie. So, really,
the gear is very iconic. I love the look of the car, the firehouse, the suits, the goddamn packs. The catcher. It's all like
Yeah. Very, very.
They've gotten so much mileage just on the Slimer alone.
Yeah, that's true too.
For like just being like a 4-minute part in the movie, like yeah, Slimer, get your Slimer shit.
yeah, it's kind of crazy actually with that Slimer. It's kind of how much he's been elevated to a key player in the Ghostbusters universe. And then, so I guess finally, how does Ghostbusters fare for a Halloween movie? As we're doing this for HaHaHalloween.
Perfect. It doesn't have to be, all Halloween need to be a perfect Halloween film. It's so I think tight to the hip with the holiday that you can't not watch it during the time. To this day, you still got kids running around in Ghostbusters costumes for Halloween. So
yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a great movie for Halloween. I had a lot of fun with it. It's exactly what you want for a Halloween movie. Fun, funny, got some of the atmosphere, and just a perfect encapsulation of it to like get the correct mood for the holiday. I think that's. Again, it's something that you can put on in the background too during Halloween. And, especially because most people have seen it and you can kind of just have it playing and, recognizable parts and point out little bits and pieces without having to actually like sit down and watch it entirely. I think it's perfect for the holiday. I think it's really good. And it is a great pick for the last of the HaHaHalloween series, I think. Nice job. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so with that said, let's give Ghostbusters a rating. So on a scale of 0 to 10, jokes about entering a woman, but she's already full, which is a great joke from Bill Murray as well. What would you give Ghostbusters from 1984?
I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's still a classic. It's still really funny. Smartly written, well directed. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, the whole cast, Harold Ramis, terrifically funny together. Nice, punchy jokes. They're all really funny. Some of them subtle. Some of them, you're going to be like, oh, shit, I didn't see that, Really good. Just a really good, stand the test of time horror comedy. It's got some good, very good, spooks and scares. It's got, comedies everywhere. Can't highly recommend it enough. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say 8.75 or 9 out of 10.
1984.
That's right.
Out of 10.
I think it's a really good movie. It's, I think we talked about it, but I find that the whole concept is really ingenious. I like the setup of the trapping ghosts. I think that's really cool. I think, again, I think one thing we didn't even talk about, but I think 13 Ghosts is very owing to Ghostbusters in terms of trapping ghosts, because that's that whole movie's concept is we need 13 we need to trap them all in here. Same idea. But I think that's really ingeniously done in Ghostbusters. I think that they had a really good idea, ran with it. Interesting to see how iconic this movie really has been. You don't normally have a movie that has so many disparate parts that are iconic that has been picked out for pop culture. The car, the fire station, the suits, the guns, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. There's a lot of stuff that's really proliferated into pop culture. And you just can't discount the fact that it's just a really entertaining movie to watch. This movie is on the longer side as well, an hour and 47 minutes. Doesn't feel like it. Feels very succinct in its plotting and doesn't really overstay its welcome or have any extraneous things in it. I think it's all pretty much needed. It's a really great movie. And, it definitely makes sense that this is one of the movies from this time period to have really stood the test of time and still referenced and very popular to this day. It's a great movie to watch. It's probably Dan Aykroyd's best movie, for sure. And just really well done from everybody. All right. Well, you know what that means as we close out this episode on Ghostbusters. This is the end of HaHaHalloween. As we literally release this episode on Halloween Day. That's going to do it for us. So, thanks for listening. We hope you really enjoyed this series, HaHaHalloween. If you did, you should like and subscribe. We also have a large number, as I said, 80-something episodes of Halloween, specifically movies that we've done for Halloween that are available on any podcast app. So you should definitely check those out. You could literally do, you could do probably, that's 80 hours because we basically do over an hour an episode. So you have at least 80 hours of content you could listen to us for the Halloween season. So you should check those out. We've done a lot of great series, very fun. But we'll be moving on after this Halloween season we'll probably do a Thanksgiving-esque episode. We're kind of running out of Thanksgiving movies to do. So that will probably be part of what's coming up next. And also, Christmas movies is coming up very soon with our Festivus series that we'll be returning to. And we have a large number of Festivus episodes too. But not sure yet what we're going to do for the Festivus series. Haven't,
I still like my idea.
What's that?
Doing 12 different versions of
The Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough because at a certain point, you can't keep bringing up I really like Dickens' idea there. You kind of run out of that. So you got to find other things to talk about. But it would be cool. It would be an interesting.
You know what? Hey, maybe we'll have to do make a mini thing out of it.
Sure.
Make it be a 6-minute minisodes that we do.
Yes.
And it could be we'll do 12 days of Dickens, and it's just 12 different
That's a good idea of just like mini-sodes. Because, yeah, again, I feel like you can't, it's really hard to do an hour episode each time of Christmas Carol and like, wow, they really, the way they had Scrooge whip open that window and shout to the boy about getting that goose. That was great in this one, Come
get Christmas goose.
So, yeah.
Still to this day, one of my favorite things you've ever said. Because I don't even remember that. Granted, I've never been a big fan of A Christmas Carol, so.
I mean, the book, the Dickens classic, is really nice.
You know what? I was told that about A Tale of Two Cities, and that was.
You know what? That is good as well, but
not nice.
You have to be in a right mindset for it. But yes, festive series would be fun. 12 episodes, 12 days of Christmas Carol. That'd be fun too. I would do that. 6, just like, because I'll be watching Christmas Carol stuff anyway. I'm sure. So.
See, and I was gonna say that's why too. We'll have to use the South Park Jimmy singing on your foot.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's gonna feel like by the 10th film. Like he's like, I just want.
Oh God.
Yeah. Then the year after, we could do like the 25 different versions of like A Miracle on 34th Street. Like
yeah. So if you want to hear all that, you should tune in. Subscribe to us on any podcast app. We also have a new website page at bloodandblackrunpodcast.cultsploitation.com. I created it and I'm going to be upkeeping it, hopefully, and it should be fun. We'll post, show notes, maybe better show notes than I normally do and stuff on there. So we can even include pictures and things. So should be good, and I'll try to promote that more and more. And you can also find us on Facebook or Blue Sky. Just search for us on there. Like us, subscribe, whatever you do. We have an email address at bloodandblackrunpodcast@gmail.com where you can write to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch, and we'll take that into consideration. And you can also donate to us on our Patreon page. I found out Spotify did away with the donation thing, so you can't donate to us on there, as I've been saying, unfortunately. But you can donate to us on Patreon, so appreciate that. Or just, write to us and say you want to send us money. We'll let you know where to send that to. We put that back towards beer, so thanks in advance. Anyways, it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed HaHaHalloween as we close this out. And until next time,
take care.